Hello, I'm Robert Kelly, and today on Record All Monsters, Yongary, monster from the deep, and cashing in on the trend outside of Japan.
You know, this earthquake reminds me of something I heard a long time ago.
When I was a child, my grandparents used to tell me fables about a monster. He was connected with earthquakes.
Yongary?
That's them.
Yongary is a strange bird, by which I mean it isn't a bird at all. It's a giant monster movie, which is why we're discussing it here on Record All Monsters. If you came here looking for discussions on birds, you're definitely in the wrong place. I have ornithophobia. That's Greek for fear of birds, or translated literally, I don't want things flying into my face and pecking my eyes out. Uncomfortable bleeding from an orifice does come up later in this movie, though we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. This movie was produced quickly, with filming starting in April of 1967, and it being released in August of that same year, part of the Kaiju boom from 1966 on. One thing that makes this movie stand out is that it is a South Korean giant monster movie. There are actually two other giant monster movies released by the Koreans in the 60s, but all three of them are lost. I can hear you now. But Robert, you're saying. Robert, you handsome devil. If all three of those movies are lost, then what the heck are we even talking about today? And you make a good point. First of all, flattery will get you nowhere with me. Second of all, the other two lost Korean monster movies will be covered in a quick look next week. And third of all, only AIP's TV version and 48 minutes of the original Korean language film exist. And fourth of all, flattery will get you a little ways. It's curious that so much mystery surrounds what is a fairly by-the-numbers giant monster movie, with a monster who's mostly memorable for looking really cool, but kind of like a ripoff of pretty much all of its predecessors at once. Godzilla's overall body shape and backplates, Gamera's tusks and fire breath, and Barugon and Baragon's nasal horn, which produces a beam weapon after this film's Kenny shines an itch ray at the monster while it sleeps. That does bring us to this movie's real monster, Eicho. I have spoken out in defense of the Kennys on several occasions in the past, and I will do so again in the future. But at the present moment, I must wash my hands of this Eicho and the crimes he has committed, including 2 counts of attempt to commit manslaughter, 1 count of breaking and entering, 1 count of burglary, 1 count of larceny, 1 count of reckless damage and destruction. It goes on. While most Kennys have checked 1 or 2 of these boxes, I don't think any of them ever screwed their castmates so thoroughly from the beginning of the movie all the way through to the finale, and then get praised as the film's real hero at the end. Eicho, being the film's primary perspective character, as well as explicitly named its hero at the end, does tell us something else about this beloved genre, though, and that's the fact that even outside of Japan, and as early as 1967, these films were primarily seen not as adult-oriented science fiction, but as having a special eye toward young boys in particular, and children in general. 1967 proved that this audience was, no matter what country you were in, the primary one for giant monster movies and their television counterparts. The 15th episode of Ultraman even touches on this subject, when a child's chalk drawing is brought to life by cosmic rays, and the children get mad at our hero for fighting it, begging him not to hurt their monster. This was the second to last giant monster movie of 1967, and I kind of feel bad having been so hard on it, because it's one I actually enjoy quite a bit. It's silly and it has a wonky charm to it, as well as some upsetting tonal whiplash in the form of our title character's ultimate demise. Apparently, he is shot into space off-screen, still alive in some more cribbing from Gamera, at least according to the lost Korean version. But he's just dead in the only version currently available, and his death, which I alluded to at the start of this essay, is deeply unpleasant and disturbing. AIP released this one directly to TV, a sign of the market for these movies being oversaturated perhaps, but thanks to the discovery of a widescreen version of the dub and posters and other promotional materials, our friend John LeMay suggests the possibility that they considered a theatrical release until fairly late in the game. I personally had to work quite hard to see this movie for the first time, more than 10 years ago, being refused a VHS copy at a second-hand store, and YouTube was unable to host full movies at the time. So tracking down all the many parts it was uploaded in was not an easy task. I finally found a compilation DVD, including several Gamera movies, Gappa the Triphibian Monster, the Giant Gila Monster, Warning from Space, and this film. I watched all of them while I was house-sitting for a neighbor, and maybe that's why I find this film so charming. By the way, all of these movies now have gorgeous Blu-ray releases, except for the Giant Gila Monster. So somebody get on that, it's in the public domain. The Blu-ray for Yongary includes a fascinating commentary with Steve Reifel and Korean film historian Kim Song-ho, which was a major source for this essay. Check it out if you want. I think it might overall be a little unessential, but I like it.
The very first clue was found by Icho.
I didn't do anything.
Icho, tell me how old you are.
Oh, about 8.
Well, acting as scientific advisor to a whole nation is quite a job for an 8-year-old. Without your work, we might all have been destroyed. How do you feel about that? Well, then, perhaps a word from your sister, Miss...
I'm no good at words.
Your brother's pretty special, isn't he, Miss?
Oh, only special about getting himself in trouble. Apart from that, I'd say he's just an ordinary brat for brother.
I think little brothers are supposed to act like brats. But anyway, my sister's nice.
What would you like to be when you grow up, Icho?
I want to be a great scientist, biologist.
What would you like most? What wishes?
Let's see. Well, one wish is about my sister and Uncle Elu. I wish that the two of them would hurry up and get married. They're just standing around doing nothing.
Oh, you miserable brat.
Anything else, Icho?
Yes, something about Yongary. I saw him playing dance. I think all of you should realize it wasn't his fault. You call him a monster just because of the things he did. He was just looking for food and we had to kill him because he got in our way.
He might have destroyed the entire Earth if we hadn't stopped him.
Of course I know. I know that we had to kill him, honest. But my other wish would be that he could be here now.
You're a fine young man. We're all very proud of you.
Hey, let's get started, can we?
Hello, I'm Robert Kelly. Welcome back to Record All Monsters. We're here with some great guests. We have, as always, wife and producer Courtney Meissner.
Hi.
Sitting next to her, we have my sister, who was on last season for talking about Rodan, Aubrey.
Hello.
And sitting next to her, we have our good friend from the band Bonsai Nation, and also regular day job.
That's right.
Ray Hanley.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Yes. And we're all here to talk about the 1967 South Korean monster movie, Yongary, Monster from the Deep. Now, since Courtney and Aubrey have seen this one before, Ray, I want to get your fresh reaction first.
Sure, yeah. It was very fun. It was cool. I thought it was an excellent vehicle for blowing up models via a man in a giant monster costume. So I thought that was excellent. It was very fun.
Now, for your previous episodes, we did 2 American-made monster movies. We
Yes.
did Beast from 20,000 Fathoms, and The Giant Claw. So one of the best giant monster movies, and one of the worst.
Right. The full spectrum.
Yes. So where do you feel this one falls in between those?
Oh, that's a good question. Definitely somewhere in the middle. If I can be as vague and broad as possible. But I don't know. It's been so long since I've seen those ones now. I would have to do a side-by-side comparison. But I thought it was just as fun as either of the other ones for sure.
Now, Courtney, it's been a while since you've seen this one. How did you feel?
Sad that they killed the monster.
Yeah. Didn't have to be that way.
Well, and the way they killed him.
It was pretty gross.
Pretty gruesome.
Yeah. But, I mean, overall, it was fun.
Bleeding out in a ditch by a bridge.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, it was engaging, I would say.
Now, Aubrey, you and I have watched this movie together quite a few times. When it was on one of the recent seasons of Mystery Science Theater, and also on my various monster movie box sets that I had.
True story.
How was it watching it in this beautiful, pristine Blu-ray presentation from Kino Lorber?
It was different. I almost noticed things that I guess I hadn't before, but no matter how many times I've watched it, there are certain highlights of the movie like I'm waiting for that I know are coming, or that I want to say when it's on the movie, and I have to restrain myself.
Like which
So
parts
that
in particular are...
That doesn't change. When they say things like, oh yes, he's a scientist, or he's dancing. And I'm just prepared for them to come up.
Let's go ahead and talk about, we did watch the dub, and that is because, well, one, when in a setting like this, it's easier to watch the dub.
Yeah.
But also, the Korean version does not exist anymore. It's in... Only 48 minutes of the original Korean version survive because they had a deal with the Japanese movie studio Toei to distribute it worldwide. And Toei, oopsie, didn't lost the print.
That day.
On purpose?
No, they really did oopsie.
Okay.
And so 48 minutes of it were found recently. This Blu-ray was based off a recently found 35mm print of the AIP, American International Productions version, which it's interesting that they had a full 35mm version because they released it to TV. They never released it theatrically.
Oh.
But now we have this widescreen, very pretty version.
Interesting.
Were there any other highlights for y'all throughout the movie?
I like looking at their clothes. I like watching the buildings fall apart.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
That is the thing with this Blu-ray, is you can see in a few scenes where the prefabricated fall apart lines are.
Yes.
On the buildings. Courtney, were there any parts that stuck out to you as a particularly fun time? You agreed with Aubrey about the clothes.
Yeah, the kid was kind of annoying, but also fun.
This is the first Kenny, as they call them, that I can't really defend.
Oh, that you can't defend, because I was going to say, the
No.
first, there's like a...
No, this is the first one I can't... I cannot sanction his buffoonery, as Tommy Lee Jones said.
He reminds me a lot of Spritle from Speed Racer.
Mm.
He did get the monster to dance, which was pretty
He
cool.
did.
I mean it.
And also gave it a death ray from its horn.
Yeah, that's also true.
He made it stronger.
What did y'all think of the monster's design? Of Yongary's total... His
I
look.
like the glowing horn. Was cool.
It's
And the
obviously reminiscent of Godzilla. He's green and lizardy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He's got the Ankylosaurus club kind of on the back, which was a cool addition. The horn and his nose was interesting. I guess it glowing red made it worth it.
Well, the monster suit was designed by Masao Yagi, and he designed and built the suits for the Gamera franchise. And you can kind of see the similarity.
That makes sense because watching it makes me think of the Gamera movie.
Mm-hmm. I'm somewhere watching an interview with the Kyoto brothers who did the special effects for Killer Clowns from Outer Space and the stop motion stuff for Elf. They talked about one of their inspirations was the Yagis. Because Masao Yagi had a brother who also built suits for monster movies. As the Yagi brothers, they worked on a lot of suits. And so the Kyoto brothers talk about one of their big inspirations. They always remember how when the monster dies on a Yagi brothers suit, the light bulb behind the eye goes out before it closes.
That's interesting. Also, something about this suit is the eye is different. The eyes are different.
That's cool.
Because pretty much all of the Toho suits, so like in the Godzilla franchise and stuff, the eyes are facing forward.
And smaller, I felt like.
And much smaller. But on these Yagi suits that we see in the Gamera franchise and here, the eyes are very big and a lot of times on either side of the head.
So he's not a predator.
Suggesting they're prey animals. No.
Interesting.
But he has those two big fangs like this, which I'd have liked to see him biting something.
Yeah, well, that's very reminiscent of Gamera. Gamera also has the two big fangs on the bottom.
Yes.
And like Gamera, he also has a flamethrower at the back of his throat that you can see clearly in a few scenes.
That last one where he uses it, they managed to hide it.
Hide it pretty well.
Yeah. I thought it was interesting that he drinks oil.
Yes.
Yes.
Gamera is an energy eater as well, so there's a lot of Gamera parallels with this guy. I don't think it's really been addressed outside of casually mentioning Gamera eats fire and oil in a couple of scenes in his movies. What kaiju eat? What do y'all...
Well, that makes me think of the Muto in the newer movie because they go to radioactive sources, don't they?
Yeah.
Fuel. So that was the first thing I thought of, which I should have thought of Gamera first, but I didn't.
You thought of it how you thought of it. It's cool.
Yeah, but when you see something with big teeth, you want to see it eat something.
Yeah,
But-
not just drink oil.
Right. But maybe he uses those like a can opener. Pop one of things and then there you go. That's it. We solved it. Because from, a biological standpoint, those had to evolve to do something. Except they're pointing up. Never mind.
Oh no, it could be like a bottle opener, like
Okay.
pop it up from the bottom.
He could shotgun a beer, really.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oil. He's like crawling out of the sewer and he's like, oh, he's eating fuel.
Yes. Eiichi spends a lot of time in the sewer. Eiichi's a little boy. A lot of time in the sewer, and then most of the time after that covered in oil and
Grime?
maybe poop.
That's nice.
Something brown.
Yes. And
He has that like Pee Wee Herman look in the beginning at least.
yeah, he is not immune to the laws of Japanese monster movies requiring little boys to wear the tiniest of shorts. He's 8 or so, I guess.
Yeah. And he is obsessed with his sister's boyfriend.
Yes, he calls him his uncle.
Seems premature, but hey.
Yeah.
I mean, he'd be his brother-in-law, not his uncle.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
If he only had that sister and
Yeah.
he just needed like a big brother figure and he
Yeah.
attached himself to him.
So what I'm trying to figure out is who. I've always been confused about who's related to who, besides that H.E. and his sister are brother and sister, and that the scientist, because I don't remember everyone's names, is her fiance.
I always thought it was her boyfriend and that they were just present at the wedding because that was like her date.
Yeah, but then why were they at the wedding? Whose wedding? Who are the people who got married at the beginning? The astronaut and his wife.
Yes.
So maybe she's related to one of them or friends with.
Yeah, like
Oh, I didn't think of that. I just
that's the part I'm
thought
confused about.
one of the male belonged to one set of parents and the female belonged to the other. That's as far as I got.
Yeah.
And her the so our characters are
Oh, maybe that was his brother.
are
Well, but for sure, she's the daughter of one of them.
she's the daughter, the wife at the beginning of the movie. The bride is the daughter of the director of the Korean Defense Force.
Yes.
Okay, yes.
We know that. That's one relationship that's nailed down.
And her
Okay.
husband works for him.
And her husband works for her dad. And then we have H.E. and his sister. So those are three relationships we have nailed down.
We know who her father is, don't we?
Yeah, that's the third one.
Okay.
So
That's it? That's
but
it?
how do they bridge?
Yeah.
Not important, Robert.
I've never been able to figure that out in all my years of watching this movie.
Nobody listens
I
to that mom.
Didn't think about it. I didn't question it. I was just waiting for the monster to come back on screen.
Nobody listens to the mom, Courtney said. And that's a
Yeah.
very good point. The mom's just like in the back
It's kind of sad.
in her
Yeah.
nice robe. And
And she's like, come on, you have to stay here. You can't go with them. I'm gonna go too.
the little boy just runs away.
Yeah.
Shut up, Mom.
His name is the only one I remember because he's introduced with an itch ray. Chekhov's itch ray.
Yeah. I was
And,
thinking that too.
His name is H.E., which sounds like itchy.
Itchy.
So, and I think they
That's
even
what I heard the whole time.
just say itchy a lot of times because they're not worried about South Korean pronunciation
Because it's
details.
a dub.
Yes.
An old school dub. The dub is actually pretty good.
For the most part, yeah.
But if they had listened to the mom, then the story would be completely different.
Yes. Then H.E. never would have been in the sewer to discover that Yongary drinks oil and doesn't like ammonia.
Right.
Which every time they said ammonia, I kept thinking about Ron Perlman in Pacific
Too
Rim.
much ammonia.
Too much ammonia!
The movie's the best.
We've had some... So we're smack dab in the middle of the Kaiju ripoff era.
Right.
Or the second Kaiju boom that started in 1966. And so there was the X from Outer Space, which had a very silly looking monster that died when they shot what looks like shaving cream at it.
Wait, what did that monster look like?
That's the one that has the big triangle head
Okay.
and like the
Yeah, that was
Oh, yeah.
that was good.
antennas that spin on it.
Yes.
Or maybe I'm making up that they spin. I don't know.
I don't think they move. But
And then we had Gappa, which was like a remake of Gorgo.
Yeah. But more racist.
Racist Gorgo.
wasn't that the name of the queen from Sparta
Yes.
and Gorgo? Something
Yes,
like-
I think it's Gorgo.
Okay. Just
Really?
Yeah. A little history lesson real
She
quick.
film to
Gorgon.
film connection.
Queen of Sparta. I'm Googling.
Was she Medusa?
Yeah, Gorgo.
Oh, I win! What do I win, Robert?
A thunder bucket. All right.
Amazing.
So, I'm going to go ahead and call the discussion good. And we'll take a break. And when we get back, we'll play this game. I'm going to pit y'all against each other.
Oh, no.
To keep score. This game is another edition of our What's in a Name series of games. Mm-hmm. And it's based around international film titles for kaiju movies.
Okay.
All right.
But with un twist.
Okay.
Okay.
Where are all these people running? They're hurrying to their video stores so they won't be left out of Orion Home Video's Monster Movie Madness. Some of Filmdom's favorite freaks are coming to thrill customers this November for just $19.98 each.
Oh, very good. Wonderful.
It's terrific.
From outer space to ocean depths, from Korea to Japan, these cantankerous creatures are wreaking havoc at every turn. It's coast-to-coast monster madness.
Look at that.
Just when you thought it was safe to go in the water, the monster from a prehistoric planet is coming ashore to make some waves. Their baby has flown the nest, and now Mom and Pop are hunting him down. The natives are restless until these three rowdy reptiles are reunited.
It's all over.
Oh, no, it's not. This extraterrestrial is earthbound, and not even the courageous crew of ABB Gamma can stop him. He's X from outer space, and he's destroying everything in his path. Things really start moving and shaking when Yongary, monster from the deep, comes to town.
It's Yongary, he's coming out!
He's the new guy on the block. And the neighborhood will never be the same.
Save the earth. Save the earth. Save the earth.
Only one thing can save the earth from this sack of sludge.
Godzilla!
That's right. The big guy's back to battle it out in Godzilla versus the Smog Monster. He slides. He flies. He tries the evil eye. But he's no match for the granddaddy of them all, Godzilla.
Godzilla! Thanks a lot!
Monster from a prehistoric planet. Yongary, monster from the deep. Godzilla versus the Smog Monster. And the X from outer space. 4 fabulous monster movies packed with firepower. Coming from Orion Home Video at just $19.98 each. Orion backs this monster movie collection with ads appearing in these trade publications and these enthusiast publications for a combined circulation of over 2.5 million readers. We are also providing a full-color fold-out brochure, an eye-catching poster, and an alluring cassette box for each of the 4 titles. Remember, the order cutoff date is October 31st, and the street date is November 16th. Monster movies, only $19.98 each, coming from Orion Home Video.
It's just fun.
It's
What about Bub's Gorgonzola?
Bob's Gorgonzola Supreme.
Okay, I'll stop.
No, that's good. All right. One of my favorite bits of giant monster movie trivia is that when released in Germany, the movie we watched today was called Godzilla's Death Paw. So in today's game, What's in a Name, International Title Edition, I'll ask you if certain movies that we've already talked about on the show were released under certain stupid-sounding titles in Germany.
Yes. Do I win?
True.
There are no prizes if you win, because I'll make sure you don't win.
Okay.
There's also no penalties if you lose, because I will make sure you don't lose. Does that make sense?
Totally.
That's in German, yeah.
Well, neither do these titles. Let's get going.
You're recording, correct?
I am recording.
Okay. It would be really bad if we weren't.
High five, Courtney.
Producing. She's producing.
Yes.
Question 1. Was 1965's Invasion of Astro Monster released in Germany under the title Command from the Dark? Right?
I say true.
Aubrey?
False? Can I go first next time?
You don't have to disagree.
No, I say false.
Okay. It was indeed. It's true.
I was
In
going
your
to
face,
say true,
Aubrey.
but then I thought I had to pick that one.
No, you don't. You don't.
You can go
No, I
first
wasn't
this
going
time.
to say no.
Yeah.
I was going to.
It sounds cool when translated into English, but in German it's Befehl aus dem Dunkel, which is just silly.
It doesn't work.
All right, question 2. Was Gorgo released in Germany as The Dinosaur Takes Revenge? Aubrey?
Yes?
Ray?
I say false. Did not happen.
Ray, you are correct.
I knew it.
That was not even a title that Gorgo was ever released under, so far as I could find.
I knew it.
It was one of the Greek titles for Reptilicus.
Oh, cool.
It had a second Greek title when it was released on home video, and that was simply Threat to the City. All right, question 3. What's the score, Courtney?
2-0.
Okay.
There's still time for a comeback.
When it was released to German TV, was King Kong vs. Godzilla called Godzilla Slaughter Festival of the Giants?
Me?
Yeah.
Who goes first? I talk
You,
first?
because you're losing.
Oh.
Rude.
I think that would be cool, but I don't think so.
Ray?
I also say false.
You're both wrong. It was released as Godzilla Slaughter Festival of the Giants.
That's awesome.
In the actual German sounds less cool. Godzilla Schlachtfest der Giganten.
I mean, you can kind of tell what it means in English.
Schlachtfest der Giganten.
Yeah.
All right. Question 4. Was the German release of Mothra vs. Godzilla called Godzilla and the Primeval Caterpillars?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, it was not.
It was.
Yeah.
Aubrey, you got a point.
Hooray!
That's a really cool title.
That
It is.
is active.
And it's one that actually sounds kind of cool
Legit?
in German.
Okay.
Godzilla und die Weltrappen.
Okay.
Ooh,
Sure.
dropping.
All right. Aubrey, you can tie on this last question.
Do we go to sudden death after that?
Yeah, we can come up with something. Was the original title for... Next question. Was the original Rodan from 1956 called Rodan, the Bird of Death, when released to German TV?
I guess.
Right?
I say false. It was not.
Ray, you're correct. It was not. That was the Polish title of the film, and I'm not even gonna try to pronounce it.
Oh, come on.
I didn't even write it down because I was looking at it and I was like, no. So Ray, you have won.
Yes. This might be my first ever victory on the quiz portion of the show.
I don't know if I won one before. Probably not.
I think you won because
It was dinosaurs.
the dinosaur
Oh,
erotica.
okay. It was dinosaurs.
yeah.
I probably won. Alright.
Yeah, I remember that.
And Ray, I think you won your second time on the show.
Okay, yeah. I think that first time I struck out so hard, it stays with me.
Because the second time
Went
we did
0 for 5.
the Mexican horror movies,
That's right, yes.
and you had done a little bit of research
Yes.
on that. Which I bought one of the movies we discussed,
Oh, really?
Honest.
and it's not fun. It's so
Like an Alfonso
disappointing.
kind
Well, kind of.
If only.
No?
It was Night of the Bloody Apes.
That sounds like it would be fun.
It started
It should
out.
be fun, right?
It started out a lot of fun, and then the monster commits sexual violent crimes.
Wow, not
That's
about
not
that.
tasteful.
No, and that was kind of like I have a pretty high tolerance for sleaze in a movie,
Yeah.
but that was
It ruined the tone.
it was too icky.
Yeah.
Everything, like there was dumb bad science. There was like
The guy in a suit.
oh, it was so good. They sneak into a zoo at the beginning of the movie, and there's an orangutan sitting in a cage, and he's like, "I'm going to plug it with a tranquilizer dart," and he picks up the gun and takes aim, and then it's a guy in a gorilla suit in the cage, no longer an orangutan, and he shoots that, and he tells his assistant, "Help me move this gorilla." And then it cuts away. It cuts away. We don't see the move of the gorilla.
Because he's too heavy, Robert.
Well, but here's the thing. We never see them move the gorilla.
Didn't that happen in the Jack Black King Kong? Like they
Yes.
get it to pass out on the island, and then all of a sudden it's in
there.
New York or whatever.
Well,
Yeah.
they have like some scenes on the boat in between, because in the original
Okay.
King Kong, they knock it out and they're like, "Hooray, we're millionaires!" And then it shows the show opening, which
Yes.
in a 90-minute, 100-minute movie where you skip over large swaths of things to keep the story moving, that's fine. In a 3.5-hour movie, when you see when every character brushes their teeth
There's
before
no
going to
excuse.
bed, we need to see how that monkey gets moved. But yeah, it was really disappointing. Night of the Bloody Apes. There was a good Mexican horror movie on the DVD, on the same Blu-ray.
Okay.
So I'm keeping it for the good one.
All right. Fair enough.
It's just gonna sit there as Night of the Bloody Apes, though, in my Blu-ray collection.
Yeah, I was like, nope.
We were watching it, and that happened. It was like, oh no!
Yeah.
And it was funny. I told Derek from Monster Kid Radio that, man, I bought that on Blu-ray, and before I could say what I thought of it, he said, "Oh, I'm sorry." So yeah, that was.
Well, that's disappointing. Yeah.
I wish they had the Mexican version of the film, because apparently it that cuts those scenes out. They
But they only have one cut on the Blu-ray.
yeah
Well, those El Santo ones that we've been watching
are good.
they're good, but they don't have it in Spanish on there.
I think it's something to do with the distributor VCI. They've been doing a lot of great Mexican genre movies on Blu-ray recently. Or I should say, they've been doing a lot of great genre. They've been doing a lot of great Blu-rays of Mexican genre movies, I should say. But I don't think they have the rights for the original Spanish versions.
Yeah, I imagine they just dished out what they could get a hold of.
Yeah. 'Cause they also put out the Blu-ray for Gorgo, which is wonderful. These Santo movies are a lot of fun. I think my favorite one so far has been El Santo and versus the Riders of Terror, which is just a Western. It's just a Western, but El Santo's there to wrestle.
Nice.
To wrestle bad guys.
And a cowboy hat?
No cowboy hat.
Mask, though?
Yeah, still wearing the mask.
Okay.
Excellent.
We were introduced to him about 20 minutes into the movie when some nuns approach him to help him, to ask him to wrestle a guy for 10,000 pesos to give the orphanage.
Classic.
Yes, very much. And he wrestles the guy real good.
A nice pile driver to the head.
And everything's to the face. Just like whoosh. They're great. They're great. I might do some side projects on those El Santo movies.
They deserve an episode.
But with that, y'all got any projects you want people to find?
I sadly do not. Nothing cool going on.
The
here.
One Piece of Land is still out, right?
That's right. That's still out. Yeah. Find it on anywhere that does music, iTunes, and all that good stuff. Spotify. Yeah.
It is a good album. I've
thanks.
listened to it a couple times. I enjoy it.
Oh, thank you, Robert.
Aubrey?
I'm good.
Courtney?
Record on Monsters.
Yeah,
See
she's
my
on
art
that.
stuff. I have another one, but my public account is See My Art Stuff.
And on that, we'll let y'all go. We will be back later with all the housekeeping. So stay tuned for that. There's probably
Let
gonna.
you go. Okay, I'm done.
Oh, Courtney, you went this whole time without doing your special Yongary joke.
Yongary Glen Ross.
Okay.
Sorry.
Hey! He's dancing! Go, Yongary,
What's that?
Hey! Leave me alone! What do you think you're doing? Leave me alone, will you? Get your big mitts off me, will you?
Get out of
Leave me
here.
alone. Come on, let me go!
Control tower. Control tower.
And so I says to Mabel, I says, "Oh, we're back." It's me, your host Robert, and the producer Courtney,
Hey.
who's also my wife.
Yeah.
It is
Almost 3 years.
almost 3 years. It'll be our anniversary. Not by the time this comes out,
Yeah.
but between this and next week's quick look on Bulgasari, Gogol, and Wong Mogwai. 3 lost films from Asia that are kaiju films of one kind or another.
And some of them have pretty rad themes.
Nacho, 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 Gogala. I'm going to try and get away with playing as much music in that one as I can. We also might have a special short interview lined up for that one. Looks like that might happen.
Ooh.
Ooh, indeed. Also, we wanted to thank Aubrey and Ray
Yes.
for coming on and talking with us about Yongary. It was fun.
Yongary Glen Ross.
You can actually buy a t-shirt of the Yongary Glen Ross poster in our TeePublic store. What poster, you may be asking? You will see if you go to our TeePublic store, which there is, of course, a link to in our link tree, which is in the description below.
And thank you to everyone who helped us get the nomination for a rondo.
Yes, we have been nominated for a rondo again 2 times now.
Yay!
Which I'm still kind of floored by. It's kind of intimidating to be nominated alongside Gilbert Gottfried's amazing Colossal podcast and the Nashi Cast and Monster Kid Radio. We're friends with Derek now, and that's great. But you should, if you're gonna, you could vote for us.
You can vote for us or any of the other amazing nominees.
We are doing a campaign. We're pushing for Nathaniel Ross Smith to be nominated for Artist of the Year, Best Monster Artist.
Yes.
He sent me a little bit of some of the monster art he did over the past year. I'm going to post it on our Instagram this weekend. So you can take a look at that. It'll also be on the Facebook, probably. Twitter's not great for sharing pictures. So, they can't see you nodding, Courtney.
Oh, yeah.
That's our signal to wrap it up. So, Courtney, was there anything you wanted to say before we hit the stop record button?
I'm good.
She's good. She's real good. Oh, also, the day that Ray was here with Aubrey, we watched El Santo versus Frankenstein's Daughter.
Oh, yeah.
And it was amazing, and you should all watch it. That movie proves this show's motto that monsters are your friends.